I decided to start my own business after being in China for more than 12 years and making the decision that I wanted to spend more time in the States to be closer to my family as my parents got older. And I looked at what the opportunities existed for going to work for somebody else and finding a new job or going out on my own. And I looked at the experience that I'd gained in China over all those years, what I was really strong at, and then I decided that I didn't want to look back later in life and regret not taking the jump to give entrepreneurship and owning my own business a chance. I had gone back to school because I'd never finished my bachelor's degree the first time around. And after spending some time in the family business and then on in corporate America, I decided that retail and corporate America wasn't for me. And I went back to finish my bachelor's degree in 2000. And over the next 2 years, I was a full-time student. And I had the opportunity to travel to Asia and visit 6 countries with the university on a university trip. And during that trip, I fell in love with China. The energy, the just the hustle and bustle that was occurring back then. And as a boy from the Midwest, I thought, this is where I want to be. And this led me to beginning to search for an opportunity to move to China after I graduated. And I found a company that was looking for an account manager to set up a team in their Shenzhen, China office. Very small at the time, and I signed up for a 2-year assignment, and many years later, I'm still there. After that first 2-year assignment was up, I was itching to go back. The culture shock was a lot different when you're on the ground, living and working, than when you're traveling with the university delegation. And at that 2-year mark came, the company asked me to stay for another year. And so I did, and during that third year, I became much more involved in the local community, making Western friends, and expanding my network from working all the time and entirely local friends, which are very important. But I needed, and I didn't realize I missed the Western interaction. And that third year, gaining that and seeking it out and gaining that interaction changed my life, and I decided then to continue staying with my company as opportunities came my way for advancement. And I was with that first employer that moved me to China for more than 10 years. The company that moved me to China offered me a position to move to China, was a third-party testing lab and quality service provider, and I moved over here to put together our first client-based team. And I knew nothing about quality control, and I was one of the very first non-engineers that the company had hired with a business background and degree. And when I came on board, there was definitely a learning curve when it came to understanding quality regulations, quality compliance, what's the difference between QC and QA. And as my role advanced within the company and the time that I was with them, I became an expert in inspections and managed our Chinese inspection teams. And that led, together with my business experience, becoming known as a problem solver for clients' needs when it came to inspections, and also involved with audits, quality social audits, and quality testing and regulations. So when I decided to go out on my own, after 10 years with that first company and 3 years with another service provider, I looked at what experience I had and the business needs that were out there, and I decided that I was best suited to start my venture in quality assurance and as an inspection and audit service provider. And from that point, we have grown and evolved our services into providing more sourcing, management, order, factory, supplier management and production monitoring services. At the end of the day, we're problem solvers. My time here is what led me to love solving problems for our customers, taking the the knowledge that I gleaned from working with factories and understanding the challenges that they face, the challenges that the Western buyer, be it a retailer, vendor, importer, Amazon buyer, faces when finding the right factory, dealing with issues in order and production management, together with what is required from a quality standpoint, is what brings me joy and satisfaction in when we're able to solve those problems. Over prepare before you start, making sure that you have strong sales, cash flow projections is vital. As with most businesses, cash flow is really important, and I think that a lot of people starting out don't realize the importance of that. Whether you are the only one employed or you have a half a dozen or a dozen employees, being able to make sure that you can pay your bills, pay the employees on time is critical. Starting out with manufacturing, when you have a project idea, ensuring that you do your homework on what the requirements are into the country that you're shipping, quality, regulatory, and function, which are not necessarily the same. There may be some overlap, but you want to make sure that when you're developing a product that you have complete understanding of what the requirements are and the manufacturing process. Educate yourself on how your item is made, so when problems come up, you can help work with the factory to identify a solution. Any good manufacturer or factory is going to be excited to share with you how they make your product. So that would be, to me, one of the things that is critical, is understanding all aspects of your product and how it's made. Many years ago, I took a leap of faith and moved over here at an opportunity, and it was culture shock. So being aware that things are different from your home country, being open-minded, being patient, one of the greatest personal benefits that has come out of my more than a decade of living in China is the ability to slow down, to don't get so stuck on a schedule. Schedules are important, especially when you have timelines to meet in production, but there's a lot involved in making your product, and so understanding that things may not move at the pace you believe they ought to. And while there's a hustle and bustle and the energy here is amazing, that doesn't necessarily correlate to everything always working on the schedule you think. So being willing to slow down, understand that the culture here is much different from your home country, wherever that may be, and that for the most part, the local people are very welcoming and desire to do business with you. One of the moments I realized that my venture was becoming a success and I was truly an entrepreneur is when I had to make my first quarterly tax payment in the U.S. It's important when you're starting out to understand the tax implications of where you're buying product, where you're selling product, and where your revenues are being generated. I think one of the most important traits of doing business in China is understanding your strengths and weaknesses. There's people that are doing business here from all walks of life, people that are very analytical and don't have much creative streak, to people that are very creative and not very analytical. So finding business partners that fill your gaps is very important. So I think that the most important trait is understanding your strengths and weaknesses and working around and through those when you're doing business in China. I don't have a crystal ball, but I believe that China is going to continue to be a powerhouse, and that the struggles that come via the economy, marketplace constrictions, are going to result in further factory consolidation. So making sure that working with solid partners is critical, because China is going to continue to be a manufacturer and continuing to be a very proactive developer with their own IP and designs and creativity. China is a qualified place to do business because there are quality people at every level of the manufacturing spectrum, from finding factories to working with logistics partners to getting product made into market quickly. Without a doubt, China had historically been known as the world's factory, but it's much more than that. It is a service provider in every sense of the definition, and I can't imagine doing business anywhere else other than China.